Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special episode of the podcast series with JK Tech. This podcast series right now is very significant and important because we know that we are moving into an age of intelligent data usage and analytics. While the technology is moving ahead, we are also looking at a mix of automation technologies and artificial intelligence that, when combined, augment human capabilities and allowing them to complete processes faster, more efficiently, and with fewer errors. Today, we are going to discuss about major topic here, which talks about the industry is being disrupted by hyper automation. Is the race worth joining? And to walk us through this amazing journey of hyper automation and if it's the significance of hyper automation, we have Tanuj Singh, who has joined us from JK Tech. Tanuj is a senior vice president and the global head of marketing and analysis at JK Technology. Just to tell a little bit about Tanuj over here, Tanuj has more than 2 decades of global experience across intersection of digital marketing and technology, and he uses his skills and intellect to grow businesses 10x and 10x bigger and 10x faster than the competition. And some of the key areas that Tanuj works along with for the companies are strategic marketing, pre-sales, alliance management, and channel sales, amongst others. Tanuj, I'd really like to welcome you to the podcast and really excited to talk to you about hyper automation and if the race of hyper automation is really worth joining.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for a wonderful introduction. So I am, primarily working with some of the large enterprise clients today, also enabling them on the digital transformation journey. Digital is one topic of interest. And yeah, I also love writing, by the way, and a published author written on varied topic areas, including digital. So thank you for this opportunity to talk about hyper automation, which is very, very close to my heart.
Wonderful. And Tanuj, we've heard that you are an experienced marketer and a networker also. And of course, with in this age of data and analytics in play, we need big connections and a big network in the industry to leverage data really well and to know about the importance of usage of data and analytics. More of it we are going to discuss today during this podcast, and I'm really excited to understand from you that how automation is really important in the industry. And again, coming back to our key point, which is if the race is really worth joining or not. So I'd like to start off with the first question. So would like to understand, Tanuj, from you if the one of the most fundamental questions that comes into our mind when we talk about hyper automation. So in the previous 5 to 10 years, we have constantly been hearing about automation. So I really want to understand from you, how is hyper automation different from automation, Tanuj?
This is a great fundamental question, I tell you. And it is very common. And I've seen even technology leaders getting confused from the concept perspective of technology. Organizations today are actually looking for ways to go beyond the usual automation approach, right? And amplify their automation efforts to become more flexible and agile in this automation first stage, we call, right? Automation is primarily which eliminates the need for human labor when carrying out repetitive, high volume operations with the use of technology. And however, employing a single technology may not be able to efficiently handle some of these complex tasks, right? And we're talking about complex tasks here. Thus, there is a need for an holistic solution which has the ability to provide integrated automation. I mean, this is the simplest definition probably we could put forward from an hyper automation perspective. Hyperautomation, refers to the effective combination of complementary set of tools that can integrate functional as well as and also process silos to automate and augment business processes. And I'm sure a lot of people know Gartner coined the term hyperautomation, and it was one of the top 10 strategic trends for 2021. Now, so when we talk about hyper automation, it utilizes several technologies, tools, and platform in a very coordinated manner, right? It could be artificial intelligence, AI, ML, intelligent business process management suites, low code, no code tools, and much more. The idea is to deliver automation in a way which is more aligned with business objectives. And it can possibly be best described as an extension of automation, as it adds a layer of cutting edge technology to automation and allowing for more technological potential.
Amazing, Tanuj. Amazing. That sums up in a very simpler terms. And of course, thank you so much for defining it in such a simple and ergonomic way. And so I can understand that it's a portfolio of multiple technologies, unlike in automation where we have one technology in play. This is a portfolio of multiple technologies choreographed in a way that it works towards complex tasks and makes a solution more effective and efficient. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
This is great to hear from you. First, I would say step, because this is where we set the fundamentals, where we've differentiated between hyperautomation and automation. Thank you so much for that. And so, Tanuj, mostly when we talk about complex tasks are there across industries, across sectors, and across use cases. As you mentioned, that hyper automation is there to solve complex tasks. Would like to also understand from you that what values can hyper automation really deliver for businesses in general, across sectors, across industries.
Sure. So hyper automation, to my mind, definitely helps to lower operational expenses and errors. Okay. And if I have to go by Gartner, which predicts that by 2024, companies will be able to lower cost by almost 30% using some of these technologies, alongside process reimagination, and I call it process imagination. It aims to fulfill and implement digital transformation to boost organizational agility, and also primarily break down silos. And post pandemic, most of these companies have also identified that they still have a lot of legacy and silos within the organization. So hyper automation enables enterprise to learn from the processes themselves, right? Thanks, and which is primarily because of machine learning. And for instance, it calculates which part is the most effective and which stages may be skipped. It goes further than just being RPA to mimic more of human activity. It closes the gaps, which is primarily created by RPA and some of the other smaller automation tools, and enables business to automate even your complicated procedures that previously required some kind of a human input. With this new strategy, the reach of automation has expanded from discrete activities to some of the knowledge work that improves, possible business outcomes, right? And hyper automation can be implemented across wide range of industries. It could be used in healthcare, BFSI, retail, etc. There are multiple and tons of use cases which some of the industry analysts, etc., have identified. For example, hyperautomation, when employed in the healthcare industry, it can provide a better patient-centric care experience, which means such as things like remote monitoring and digital health assistance, etc. In the insurance, help with claim processing, and which can help reduce to a major extent and eliminate time-consuming manual processes, which brings in heavy cost and labor, right? These is very labor-intensive as well. So there are multiple use cases in the industry, and we are already seeing, heavy-duty benefits from implementing hyper-automation strategy in place.
Sure, that sounds great, Tanuj. And of course, different industries will have different use cases, but the implementation of hyper automation as an enabler is very effective for businesses, as you said, and is also cost effective in a long run, right? Wonderful. And In terms of technologies, if you try to understand, Tanuj, you mentioned AI coming in place and ML coming in place, and even other technologies coming in place. We are also constantly hearing about deep technologies like blockchain or crypto as a part of blockchain, and other such deep technologies also coming in place in the industry, which are mostly used by sunrise companies, sunrise industries. However, does in your opinion, does hyperautomation also include such deep tech technologies which can be later on used by large scale organizations as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are a lot of possible use cases being identified, and the beauty is, when we talk about hyper automation technology set, which is more like a portfolio, it could be a combination. So, automation could combine AI with IoT, for example, right? IoT is Internet of Things, right? And this, if being woven together with existing technology stack, it can accelerate product management responses, right? Or process mining, process orchestration, and combined with advanced computer vision, for example, technologies, which is basically one of the hottest trend in the industry for 2022, as organizations are reimagining their ability to perform work. So being a new technology, there might be a few challenges in this adoption, but yes, it is also creating a lot of exciting possibilities in terms of business process reimagination, and also how do you look at hyper automation enabling holistic digital transformation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, and of course, as you rightly said, there are challenges in implementation and challenges in adopting it mostly. We'll come to that. I'd really like to understand the challenges bit from you. But before that, Tanuj, as we're talking about industries and industries implementing hyperautomation, according to your understanding and opinion, Tanuj, what are the current top industries that are using hyperautomation? Would be really keen on understanding that from you.
Yes, so I guess a lot of industries are trying out initial set of use cases, and apparently we are already seeing results. For example, we see a lot of application in the supply chain side of things, and I talked about the healthcare example so I think some of these are already showing potential ROI, and I guess though some of the technology leaders are still building on their maturity in terms of understanding of potential use cases as far as hyper automation technologies are concerned, but most of these organizations, and as I said, it could potentially optimize and reduce cost by 30%, etc. So there are a lot of use cases already which different verticals are trying out at this point.
Great to know, Tanuj. That's absolutely great to know. So just talking about our topic in general, that the race has already begun. Now we are here to understand if the race is really worth joining or not, right? So Tanuj, you also spoke about challenges in overall challenges with the hyper automation, and of course adaptiveness being one of the key challenges. I just would like to understand more in detail from you, with you being the industry expert here, that what according to you are the key challenges that hyperautomation has is coming with in the industry, and of course now that we're talking about challenges, how can we really go ahead and overcome these challenges as well? So would really like to understand your point of view there, Tanuj.
Sure. No, I think this from a challenge perspective, being a new technology, I think the problem needs to be looked from two perspectives. One, how does it help solve business issues? And secondly, what technology set to use? So challenge number one from my perspective, and this is still one of the biggest challenge as the industry is concerned, is understanding what is hyperautomation technology and what is not, right? Since hyperautomation is more of a concept, there is a misunderstanding about what it truly is. For instance, some people think that an organization has reached hyperautomation if it invests in the widespread uses of RPA tools, for example. But this is not the case, right? Hyperautomation is an end-to-end strategy for utilizing an ecosystem You use the word portfolio. I use the word ecosystem and this is an ecosystem of automation related technologies. It is not about just obtaining and adopting RPA. For me, RPA is a component of hyperautomation, which also includes AI, virtual assistants, and multiple other tools we talked about, like low code, no code, process mining, etc., etc. So that is challenge number one for me. Second biggest challenge is strategic implementation is needed for hyperautomation. Hyperautomation must be implemented deliberately to, if you want to reap the utmost benefit, since it involves a systematic makeover of an organization. And we also talked about reimagination of processes, etc. Right? So it involves making several modifications to different systems in numerous ways. And on a tactical level, if we have to talk about, one system can be automated, right? But hyper automation requires a top-down strategy. So it comes from the top, from an organization perspective as well. It should come from executives who can identify the types of automation that are required, number one, and where in the organization they are required, number two. And then finally, you have to come down to how it can be leveraged to maximize business efficiency. So from an hyperautomation strategy, it should actually, you have to ensure that it kind of drives business from an ROI perspective. And the third biggest challenge which I foresee today is change management, which is absolutely necessary when you're talking about successfully driving hyperautomation. So, and this change management significance is vastly underrated, by the way, to generate longer term gains that are sustainable. Several facets of how the company handles new change needs to be examined. There are no one size fit all hyperautomation innovative. Let me caution you there. So therefore, the organization has to do an impact study before monitoring and reviewing how the change are progressing, etc. Each organization must design a setting that meets its unique requirement, and this will sometimes entail altering the specific technology set also you want to utilize in conjunction with hyperautomation. And at other times, it will need you to adjust your current processes or hire teams which has the capability the business needs to succeed with hyperautomation. So you need to also find the right resources as far as implementation of hyperautomation strategy is concerned. And one of the other thing I wanted to touch upon is today, if I see and I talk to a lot of industry technology leaders, etc. From an enterprise architecture and technology innovation perspective, three things are very, very important. How to capture the interconnection between stakeholders and system to identify business processes being used for fulfilling the business objectives, number one. Number two, we have to define process optimization and automation opportunities, highlighting even the bottlenecks, your blind spots, look at the repeatable task, and also identify some of these reusable components. And third, you have to start mapping the optimization and automation use cases with the appropriate set of tools. And this could be your RPA, low code, IPaaS, BPA, IBPMS, etc., to achieve hyperautomation in terms of your business processes.
Absolutely, Tanuj. Absolutely, it does. And for someone who is here to understand about hyperautomation and its utilization, this is, I would say, the most easy and understandable, comprehensible articulation of hyperautomation. Thank you so much for that. And for other listeners, I would like to just summarize, Tanuj, about the three challenges that you mentioned, and of course, how to go ahead and cope up with the challenges. So first one being understanding what exactly is hyperautomation and how do you go ahead and differentiate it with automation. We spoke about it initially also at the beginning of the podcast. The second major challenge is the implementation bit, where you mentioned that we have to look at a top to bottom approach or top-down approach to really go ahead and implement it very well. And the third challenge, Tanuj, that you rightly mentioned was change management, which includes an overall relooking at the the current technology ecosystem, and how do you integrate hyper automation as another ecosystem altogether. So probably a lot of change, unlearning can be involved across the organization for it. Thank you so much for that, Tanuj. This is really great for me to understand what hyper automation is, and I'm sure that to other listeners also it will be really, really easy to understand. Now, Tanuj, we've spoken about hyper automation and these challenges that corporations can face, or hyper automation comes, with these challenges, and how do you really go ahead and overcome it? But while organizations uh, are occupied with their daily tasks, utilizing automation as of now and working on regular operations, there needs to be some organization which comes in and supports these large scale organizations with implementing and executing hyper automation in their overall systems. And I've through my deep research and thorough research, I've known about some of the key players in the Indian industry who are really extensively working on hyper automation and helping organizations implement hyper automation really well and effectively. And I know that JK Tech is also working very extensively on implementing hyper automation for other organizations, large scale organizations. While you are leading the show over here at JK Tech, I would really like to understand from you, Tanuj, that how can JK Tech really help organizations in their hyper automation journey overall?
Yeah, no. So first of all, I guess one of the biggest differentiators we bring to the table is we understand the maturity of some of these technologies, and also, from a client perspective, is it better to build some of these solutions or partner or buy solutions to fulfill the needs of and the requirements of these customers who want to automate work? And second, I think we help, since we understand hyperautomation technologies, we help customers with understanding some end user challenges, etc., when using hyperautomation, which could include misconceptions relating to the functionality of tools and platforms, and how organizations should look to source that activity. This means understanding if, when, and how these traditional enterprise applications that have new functionality, for example, it could be document ingestion, process visibility, or business process management capabilities, or offer a specific processing activity, which will determine whether specialist tools, etc., should be used, right? So we identify some of those use cases. Then I guess our team of experts also helps in managing the entire automation lifecycle, from identifying your automation possibilities to calculating the ROI and realizing value, because value realization is very important to have a successful hyper automation strategy. And also, we partner with some of the best technology companies today, right? We have these as a strategic partnership with some of these market leaders in terms of these next gen technologies we talked about, be it process mining, low code, no code, AIML, RPA, integration, blockchain, etc., right? To enable end-to-end corporate automation, which will help develop disruptive business-oriented technology solutions. So all in all, I would say that we support our customers in every stage of their journey towards hyper automation as their true digital transformation partners.
Great to know, Tanuj. That is amazing to know, and that is the need of the hour also. I'm sure that, because while we work along with some other traditional technology companies, we understand that there are so many use cases which can be automated, and a lot of cost in a long term can be saved, and a lot of time can be effectively managed there. Thank you so much, Tanuj. It was, I would say, a really a pleasure understanding what hyper automation is all about, and the fundamentals of hyper automation, starting from that to what are the key challenges and what industries can use hyper automation, and how can JK Tech really help in implementing it within client organizations. Really a pleasure to understand all of that from you, Tanuj. And I'd really like to thank you for such a detailed session and podcast on hyper automation today.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. It was absolutely fabulous to talk to you today. All right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.